Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to episode 208B of Tales with TR. Once again, our guest, second round pick, the NHL entry draft, 1972, third round, actually.
Third round, second pick.
Shorthanded goal king of 1972-73 WHA, Minnesota Fighting Saints, shorthanded goal king for the league. Baseball local Newfoundland Hall of Famer, and of course, Newfoundland Hockey Hall of Famer, of which I will join him on Saturday. Terry Ryan Sr., welcome, Senior. How you doing?
Not bad. And this is to all our friends. I wore this deliberately in Australia because I know you go there. And it says, Australia, g'day, down under. So to all you Australians, there it goes. I've got it on. Yeah, I feel good. And it's nice outside for once anyway. So let's go.
Okay. I'm going to use one mic here. I apologize, guys. I left my other one. It's in storage, and I don't have the time or effort to go there right now. So, Senior, I got some questions that people knew I dropped that you were coming on Instagram stories, and some people saw that, and we have some questions for you, okay? All right. Question number one. This comes from Davey P. in Orlando.
Wow.
How did you train in the off season?
Well, you have to think now. I'm going back. I turned pro in 72. So 50 years ago, it wasn't the same, believe me, as it is today. And this is generally speaking accurate. You go to camp. You virtually didn't. I did. I was very conscientious. So I ran. Not like today. They've got all these exercises. Didn't exist then, but I knew that running. And I was an athlete because I could run. I'd go up on a farm behind where I live, an experimental farm, government owned, and I'd take my dog and I'd run. And basically,
wouldn't you put a garbage bag on?
Yeah, I would do that. Yeah, the sweat and all that. But I'm talking about now they have, God, you see them with ropes and whatever. Basically, you reported to camp. Most vets, certainly, you'd show up, you'd work yourself in shape, and this is true. You'd have 2, maybe 3 weeks of training camp. You'd work yourself in shape in those 3 weeks on the ice in training camp. They would report. It would be nothing 10, 15 over. And they had it down because they had been around. And they'd work. I was young, so I never had to worry about that. But guys, that had been around, played pro 10, maybe 15 years. They had it down. They go, okay, I need 3 weeks, 5, 6 exhibition games, 2 practices a day, and that's the way it worked.
Do you remember anybody getting shit? Like if you came in 40 pounds over there, you'd still probably get shit, right? Or no?
Me, I've never known.
So you don't remember anybody? Okay.
40 pounds overweight. That'd be. You're not going to lose that in training camp.
No, okay.
Usually 10, 15. Guys were 10, 15. The best size.
So what I'm saying is that, but you could put that on, especially with the shorter season back then. I mean, the Stanley Cup was awarded way earlier, a month or 2 earlier. So like, what I'm saying is that so there was some level in the summer of being conscious. It wasn't like now with much analytics on and off.
I give myself a month, and then I'd start running. After I give myself a month of relaxation or not working out. Then I'd get serious.
Phil in Fort St. John wants to know the best goalie that you ever scored on.
I'd say Bernie Parent. He had come over from Philadelphia, back-to-back cups, and he jumped to the World Hockey with the Philadelphia Blazers. And either him or probably Jerry Cheevers, another Hall of Famer, in Cleveland, did the same thing with the Bruins. He jumped too. And I would have to say 2 of them. And maybe in junior, there were some good goalies in junior, but they're 2 Hall of Famers.
Yeah, those are 2 big time. Jerry Cheevers. Is that the breakaway picture you got on the wall?
Yes, that's the one against Cheevers. And Parent would have been probably another shorthanded goal. But he was... Parent was what I remember about Parent, because of course the first time we played him, I knew who Bernie Parent was not his quickness or, like with the glove, you see a glove, it was his angles. He just covered the angles so well so that if you're coming down, you got nothing to shoot at. That's what I know mostly about him.
Do you think there will be a fight in the NHL final? That comes from Sneaky P's in San Diego, California. Do you think this year there will be a fight in the NHL final?
I hope so, because I'm old school. If it's a crucial part of the game, I could see it happening. Someone, and not necessarily.
I'm not just saying. Here's where I think now. I don't know. Sneaky P's coming from. I'll add my inflection here, my context to this. I think because Florida is so physical, and I think they know that they have that one up a little bit. And not only that, have you noticed this? There was one earlier this year. I think it might have been the playoffs, but maybe right before. The game was over. And someone on Florida, I think it was Bennett or Reinhardt, someone that you wouldn't really think, hammered a guy. And the other night, did you see when Bennett, the other night, the game was over. Yes. And Bennett went at the guy anyway. Yeah, the series is over.
No, that's what I like about
the series is over. There's no reason to do it. But
good players are physical, and like Kachuk, and I love that, because that you can't tell me that doesn't give you an advantage.
They don't do it just for the game's momentum. Some of them are just old school. They just want to fucking fight you, right?
And it all comes down, talent, obviously, in any sport. But character means a lot in any sport. And I think Florida got it in spades. And that's why I'm picking Florida. And I love Edmonton. I'm a Canadian. And I love McDavid. But I just see Florida as being more well-rounded and deeper.
Eddie Fink in England, who's the hardest hitter that you played against? Or maybe he says in your day. I'm guessing who you played against, but how could you say otherwise?
That's an easy one for me.
Would it be Dennis Potvin?
And without a doubt.
Oh, really?
Well, he put me in the hospital. Ottawa General were playing them in, and he did it in the NHL too. In junior, Dennis Potvin was every bit as big. 5'11" tops, 220, like a block. And he hunted you down. You could see him. If the minute you lost sight of him, you had to know at all times where Dennis Potvin was, particularly me. Every time I was on the ice, I had to know where he was. And one time we were in the playoffs. We had a decent team. We had 3 or 4 number ones. We had Billy Harris, 3 cups, coaching me at Toronto Maple Leafs. And I got caught what's called on the train tracks. That's where you come from a wing, either wing, left wing, right wing. You cut in the center, and you've got your head down. And Dennis Potvin played, if I'm not mistaken, even though he shot left, I think he played the right point. Or maybe
he's been noted. I watched his call. He's been noted. He played both.
His eyes would lighten up, and he'd come at you. And he caught me. It had to be 20 feet, and I'm not lying, from the boards. And he put me all the way over into the boards. I got up. I had a concussion immediately. This is when concussions, no one even looked at them. If it was today, I would have been out for sure rest of the playoffs. They were called dingers. I remember getting up, didn't know where I was, and then we were in Ottawa, so they sold out about 11,000. And I got up, and I was the type of player, I wouldn't give him the satisfaction, no, he hurt me. I went to the bench. I was out. I can remember, Terry, what a concussion feels like. There's something, you're in Never Land. It's something really strange about him. And the thing about Dennis Potvin that made Dennis Potvin, he went number 1, won 4 cups, Norris Trophy winners. He was ruthless. With all that talent, and the very next time I went on the ice, I remember it specifically. The puck went down our end. I picked it up. I was going. One of my wingers went offside. So, of course, the whistle is blown. You let up. I let up. Potvin came over with an elbow. He he put me down again. I was so out of it. I skated to the Ottawa bench. Luckily, two of the guys I grew up with, my best buddies, were playing in Ottawa, and Terry French, who ended up being a first rounder for the 26th for Montreal Canadiens. Frenchie said, "Terry, wrong bench." I skated to the Ottawa bench, turned around, skated over to my bench. The game was over. We skated off the ice. I went in the dressing room and collapsed. Rushed to hospital. Back then, they were called dingers. I never missed a game. That was Sunday. We had a game back, the sixth game of the Stanley Cup of the OHA playoffs. We were playing again on Tuesday. I played back in Hamilton on Tuesday. That's the way it went. You didn't miss any games because of a concussion. They weren't looked upon. Now, of course, there were two of the worst I ever had. I never had anything after that, but I went in and collapsed, rushed to hospital.
Wild. So now, Jim Bob is asking a question, okay, from Twin Cities, and I know Jim Bob because I looked at his. This picture came through social media.
Okay.
I won't say his real name, but he goes by Jim Bob, but he's about 20. So he said, why was meeting Elvis important to you? So I think I think being 20, he probably doesn't realize how big Elvis was. So part of that answer is just how big he was in pop culture. Yeah. Now, to you personally, can you come closer?
Yeah. Well, it was to meet anyone like that big. Like if it was McCartney, because I'm a huge Beatle fan, I'd have done the same thing, but I never ever had a chance. Though I saw him in '81 in Montreal for him, but I mean, I was not playing hockey then. I was in the stands. I never really had an opportunity other than that. But I was the type.
Wait, before we go, just wait. No. I'm not cutting you off, but I should say this because not everybody knows. So I just posted a story. So our buddy Jesse, remember that story we told him?
Yeah.
So that's out there on the internet now, right? So, but not everybody's seen it. So in 1976 or 77, Senior was playing in Kalamazoo, and he stayed long. 95% of the people I'm saying this to know the story, but those who don't, that's what we're referring to. He stayed. Elvis used his dressing room, and he went in only for about a minute, but he met Elvis. And
all the rock stars that came in, they would use the hockey team's dressing room because, I mean, our dressing room was a beautiful dressing room, plush carpet, and that's where they'd warm up and whatever before they walked out up on the stage. So I remember Rod Stewart, they all did. Bowie, they all did.
And then I guess so. For Jim Bob and I guess the younger audience, like, try to explain how big Elvis really was. I mean, it's hard to really say that now because he's fallen out of.
And he's dead. No, you have to realize that Elvis. I was born in '52, so Elvis was a little bit obviously older than me, but he was. If I was when I was 7, 8 years old, I knew Elvis. Elvis broke around 56, 57. So when I was 8 or 9, he would have been like 1960, 61. And he was the biggest star in the world. He would be like Taylor Swift now. I think she would be the biggest music star in the world. I think in the world.
And I think even I don't know because I didn't live then, but probably even more because there's less people. Yeah. There was now Taylor Swift is definitely the biggest, but there's so many other big ones. There wasn't so many other big ones. Who's next? Buddy Holly or Bill Haley in the comp? No, Chuck Berry probably.
The contemporaries would have been Chuck Berry. Buddy Holly was a contemporary, but he only lived like big for a year and a half. But you would have had Little Richard would have been a contemporary. Jerry Lee Lewis would have been a contemporary. Johnny Cash would have been a contemporary. But everything was built. Even the Beatles came after Elvis. They looked so much when they were in England and when they came over. I mean, like Bill Haley and the Comets. Now they went to England. They couldn't believe it was Bill Haley and the Comets. Now he was.
For those that don't know, that's Rock Around the Clock. It's the first time the word rock is used in rock and roll. Wasn't the first. There was a DJ from Cleveland, right? Alan Freed. Alan Freed, yeah.
That's why Cleveland is a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is in Cleveland, because the term rock and roll was coined by Alan Freed, and he had a rock show or a radio show out of Cleveland, the Moondog.
Yeah. Listen, I go back and listen to the Moondog Show. You can hear it. Welcome to the Moondog Show, and he starts that, but most of the people I don't know who he's talking about, because the show has got a lot of episodes. But anyway, for those that don't know, so then after that, Bill Haley, Rock Around the Clock, 1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Right, that's the first time it was used. Yeah. That's mid-50s, and then all of a sudden, then TV.
Was the other really big one.
And that he had. And then all this was just starting to come on TV.
Yes.
So, the stakes got bigger and bigger. At first, they were just playing little auditoriums and gymnasiums, right? That's why, we could get into it. That's why the Beatles kind of took all this and
like the Beatles, when he played Ed Sullivan, I mean, Boomo, like it did to the Beatles, it did to Elvis. It was like everyone could read about Elvis or hear him on the radio, but because there's no social media, a lot of people never seen him.
And they told him not to shake his hips. Remember, didn't they take certain places? They took the broadcast away.
From the waist up, filmed them from the waist up. And told him not to move. So what he did to get around it, if you notice that, if you see those Ed Sullivan reruns, he's snapping his fingers. That's the closest thing he could do about moving his body.
Yeah, I did see that. I watch it all the time.
We're this close to crowning the Stanley Cup champion, and with the action heating up on the ice, it's even hotter at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. New to DraftKings? Well, listen up. New customers can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,500. Just deposit at least $5 and you'll get a bonus bet back equal to your first bet if it doesn't hit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get a no-sweat bet up to $1,500 if your first bet doesn't hit. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, or in West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. One no-sweat bet per new customer. Issued as one bonus bet based on amount of initial losing bet. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.co/ice for eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gambling resources. Copyright NHL 2024, all rights reserved.
Interesting. Who do you think? Now, this is a wild question from Joey Fitz. I don't know where he's from. Who'd make the best captain? Ulysses S. Grant, Winston Churchill, or Napoleon Bonaparte? I'm guessing he means captain in hockey, and I don't know how you're going to answer that one.
That's a really good question, though.
It is.
Because it's all Ulysses S. Grant, Bonaparte, and who else?
Winston Churchill. Now, am I wrong? Ulysses S. Grant was a general in the war, right, for the North?
Yes.
Okay. Robert E. Lee. Yeah, okay. I know bits and pieces.
I wouldn't even hesitate Churchill.
Oh, really?
Wouldn't even hesitate. Yeah, what he did, Hitler, Europe was at his feet. Churchill wouldn't give up. And this is before the States came in. So Britain were on their own. They had the Blitz. They were bombed 3 months in a row. Every night, London was bombed. And you listen to it now, it's on YouTube, and I brings tear to my eyes. And he says, we'll fight them in the alleys. We'll fight them on the beaches. We'll fight them in the streets. We'll fight them here. We'll fight them there. But we shall never surrender. That's a leader. And he kept the morale of Britain up. I mean, it was all morale after the bombing. And I'd say Churchill, without a doubt. And I love Napoleon. I'm an historian of Napoleon, and I love Ulysses S. Grant. I love his reading history on him too.
Stakes were the highest.
But Churchill, well, the world. We're not talking the United States. We're not talking Europe. We're talking the world. If Britain loses, and because the states were isolationists at the time, no, we're not sending any of our boys go to Europe. And I mean, if not for the Japanese who bombed Pearl Harbor, the states weren't going to get. Roosevelt wanted to get in the worst kind of way, but Congress wouldn't. They were isolationists. And if not, I mean, there's something to be said. We could be speaking German today. It's sort of a flippant remark to say, but not totally. It's possible if Churchill takes Britain, he's got all of Europe, he's coming at the States, he's got Japan. There's maybe good possibility we'd be speaking German.
So this comes from Stacy in Kansas City. Stacy.
Kansas City, here I come.
Wilbert Harrison.
Oh, I've never been there. Drooks played there.
I played one game there.
I never ever got to Kansas
When I
City.
played in the West Coast League, we had crossover games with the Central League.
Yeah. Okay.
It's actually, it's great. I loved it.
Well, isn't Kansas City, is that straight across from St. Louis? I know Missouri is straight across the river.
Well, Kansas City isn't in Kansas. It's not in, it's in Missouri.
Wow.
It's across. It's right across. It's right across the border, but it's not in Kansas. No.
I'm ashamed of myself.
What?
So Kansas City and St. Louis are both in Missouri. I really, oh my God.
Well, no.
I ruined my, no, it's okay. You're right there.
I want to be sure, Senior. That's what I thought when I went there. I remember them saying that, and I was blown away.
Yeah.
I said, Kansas City isn't in Kansas? And I remember just driving slightly over. But let me see. Yeah, city in Missouri.
Wow. I would have known if I'd been there, but I haven't been to either city.
It's really weird because
Have you been to St.
Topeka, we drove from Topeka, which is in Kansas.
Topeka was in Kansas, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's right there. See, look where Topeka is. They had a team in the league, and so did Kansas City.
Yeah.
It was honestly like driving out to Clarenville, but that's Kansas City's on the Missouri side, barely, but it is.
Barely. Yeah.
Anyway, so Stacy in Kansas City wants to know. Both teams in the Stanley Cup final have a lot of Canadians. Why are Canadians important to have on a team?
It's easy to answer. If you check the last 10 winners that won the Stanley Cup, the simple answer is it just means, I think, more to us than other nationalities. Now, I'm not saying they don't want to win, but being a Canadian, having given the beautiful sport of hockey to the world, we take ultimate pride, and the epitome of the winning side is the Stanley Cup. And I just think we're willing to take more punishment to win it. That's just, I'm biased, obviously, because the Americans will too. They've come a long ways. And the Europeans have come a long ways. But I think even those people know that the pride that Canada takes in hockey. And it's no fluke that if you look at the end, that both these teams are loaded with Canadians.
Yeah.
And probably, go one step further, loaded with North Americans, a lot of Americans too.
I agree with you. I think the world is catching up, and that's always a good thing. Some people say like it's not. I mean, why do we promote it? Why do we go overseas to play? Obviously, you want it to be more global, but there's something like in here, and the way we're taught to play is a bit different. Again, I think I lived in Sweden for 2 summers. I was there for 2 months. I'm not. It's more skill. It's more. I just think the way we play, maybe that's changing. That's going the other way too. But the way that we are taught to play is
our desire to win.
Like we're playing injured in Pee Wee. You know what I mean? Like if you talk to a Pee Wee player and they're playing through an injury, and why? Because I want to win the cup. Right? There's something inherent there.
Goes right through the whole thing.
Okay, we're done soon. I just so Cheryl wants to know, again, I don't know where she's from. Thanks for listening, Cheryl. She wants to know who you'd pick if you had to pick one person, the greatest captain in NHL history. I think that's really hard too. It's tough, man, because first of all, any player that takes their team to the Cup final and wins, like so much goes into it. Like, and the other reason I think because we're not in the dressing room. To me, on the outside, like Mark Messier, Steve Yzerman, they look like I know.
Doesn't necessarily have to be the best player.
No,
It could be the player that
right?
inspires.
It could be.
He inspires.
And then some captains get you there, they don't win. But remember that year that like the only generational player. That's why I think the Oilers will pull through. But the only generational player in hockey I know not to win is Lindros, but he did get him to the final. Remember that year he got him to the final? Philly, like so, like that. I'm not saying he's the greatest captain ever, but there's something in there. Like he took Philly, like God now. Of course, there's guys like Nick Lidstrom that you won't hear about. That he's a great captain, but he doesn't. It's not as obvious when he's on the ice. But they won, right? Two cups under him.
But I wouldn't, if I was playing with him, I don't think I'd be super inspired. Be inspired by his skill, but someone like
you don't really know because we're not in the room.
Well, you're not going back either. Like I know great captains.
Well, John Beliveau, I would think, be the first.
Teeter Kennedy. They can't know who Teeter Kennedy is in the 40s and 50s.
Well, that's why I asked.
Maple Leafs, like he's supposed to be the greatest Leaf ever. Supposed to be the unreal. Wasn't the most talented. Not a great skater, but an unbelievable captain. So I think it's generation to generation. I don't know if you can pick one. The game changes, the rules change. Therefore, the idea of being a captain, that'll change with it. What that captain is required to do, that'll change. So I think a generation, every 20 years, I think it'll change.
Interesting. And the last question. More than one person asked me this. So what's the of all the goals that you scored in junior or pro? Doesn't have to be a big one, but what pops into your head? Like I can remember certain goals for some reason. I guess it was just where I was at the time. It might have been something going on, but in my head, it's like almost photographic memory of it. I remember exactly scoring the goal. Game 7 overtime, Tri-Cities versus Spokane is probably the one that stands out to me. There are others.
That would have been too.
Ball hockey got more than ice hockey for me, but anyway.
Because when I went over, I was killing penalties most of the time. I was sort of disappointed because that wasn't my resume. But anyway, it is what it is. What it is was what it was. But our captain, who was the captain of the U.S. Olympic team before he signed Minnesota, Huffer Christensen, came down with appendicitis. So I got to play regularly, and I performed. But I remember distinctly we were playing against the Nordique in the Colisée, and I scored 2 in 17 seconds. And I can remember.
That was a record as well.
I can close my eyes. I forget the first one, but I remember I scored it. We went back and faced off. The puck went in their end again. One of our guys got it, and he passed it out, and I went right into the slot, and I put it right over. I think it might have been Richard Brodeur. Now, yeah, Richard Brodeur, the kid who played for Vancouver, he played for Quebec. Might have been him over his shoulder, but I remember boom, boom. In 17 seconds, I remember that distinctly. And another one, we're playing in Madison Square Garden, and I scored a shorthanded game winner. I remember stretching and deflecting the puck up over the goalie's shoulder to win the game. Those two stick out in my mind, but the ones in Quebec, because I was getting a chance to play too, but boom, boom. I remember scoring those two. That they stick out of my mind.
What was your go-to? Now, I'm thinking with the sticks the way they were, less people went up high. Now, like a lot of guys go under the bar. I think it would have been harder back then. And just it wasn't as part of the, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm thinking you were like Deke. Maybe if you had a breakaway, were you going under the bar or were you thinking low? Or were you thinking anything? Were you just playing hockey IQ? Like I asked Zach O'Brien, he's like, I don't think about any of that. I just go out, whatever's open.
That's how it would have been for me. I was the type that even in baseball, I didn't want to think too far ahead. This is what I'm going to do. I reacted in baseball. A lot of guys would get there. I think he's going to throw me a curveball. And they sit on the curveball, and the fastball comes in. So I reacted in baseball. Whatever they threw, and I saw if I could hit it, I would. Same thing in hockey. If I had a breakaway, and I as I'm going in, and you take that one look at the goalie, and then you make up your mind at the very last second.
Beautiful. Okay. By the way, a lot of listeners think that you should put out some merchandise, make some side money, and I think they're right. Maybe so. If anybody's listening to this that wants to get on board, I have a few people in mind, but I think Senior.
What do they call it, Senior?
Well, anything. You know those shirts I had made up? We can just get anything. But any quote, what do you say? Senior doesn't pay. You always say that one. I was an all-star. You got, sure, you could get anything. Short-handed leader, 19. So you can get anything put on a shirt, sell it for $30, keep 10 for yourself. Right? Anyway.
Never thought of it.
I know, because it's not important to you, but, I think it'd be good for you. Anyway, listen, anything else to say? We're going to take off now, and we're going to be in Gander. For those of you listening that are in Gander, we'll be there tomorrow for the Hall of Fame induction. I'm really looking forward to it. But I truly believe that it's going to be a pretty quick ceremony. We're all on stage for only 5 minutes. People are aware the NHL Stanley Cup Final is going to start. So I think we're going to do this early, and then we're all going to either be at Legends or we're going to stay there and have some drinks. What I'm saying is that if you're in central Newfoundland, I know I got a lot of people that listen, and you want to come meet us, you want to have a chat, it's much easier in person than online. And we would love to have you come by and share in a hockey celebration. Regardless, we're going to celebrate senior hockey, and then we're going to watch an NHL playoff game. Of course, it's going to be awesome. Senior, anything to add?
Well, tonight for sure. Get this out for you, Shoresy. The fourth,
my favorite episode ever.
Fourth season of Shoresy. Looking forward to seeing it. And to all our fans and your fans in Australia, good day, mate. And to all our friends in Britain, tous nos amis, nos fanatiques en France, c'est la même chose. Au revoir et espèrement je peux visiter quelques fois au futur. Et je n'ai pas parlé français depuis longtemps, mais ici, c'est une bonne occasion et probablement je ne parle pas parfaitement, mais tout à nos fanatiques en France, au revoir.
Merci, Seigneur.
That's a nice touch. Nice touch.
Mon père Seigneur, aidez-moi avec mon français.
There you go.
Mais je mauvais. Is mauvais a word? Is that bad?
Yeah, je mauvais.
You're
trying to say I don't speak French well.
Trying to say my father helped me with French, but I'm not very good. Mon père aidez-moi avec mon français. Mais is but, right? But mais je mauvais.
À l'université, tous mes professeurs sont venus de Paris. C'est pourquoi la lettre R en français, c'est la plus difficile de dire français, not français. Et c'est à cause de ça, mes professeurs viennent de Paris.
Your professors coming to Paris?
All my profs
Vienne is
Paris.
We're from. I see Vienne as I'm coming to.
It's called French. The R in France is not like the R in Quebec.
I got my start, right? I got the foundation, but I don't.
Not against ending Quebec, but there are. In Quebec would be français, but in Paris, when I was at university, they taught us français.
Yeah, I understand.
More guttural from your throat.
Okay, there it is, folks. If you're downtown St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador, and you want to have a good time, you want to check out the bar scene, go to George Street, go to the Bull and Barrel, Trinity Pub, TJ's Pub, Rob Roy Confusion, the Martini Bar, Greensleeves, of course, the Bull and Barrel. If you want to go for a bite to eat, there's 3 places I love to go. Merchant Tavern, Blue on Water, and, of course, Loose Tie. 3 great restaurants in a great city. If you want to go to Mr. Lube, there's 3 locations in Newfoundland and Labrador. 2 locations. One's on Torbay Road, one's on Cameron Road. Live, laugh, lube. You want to change your mind, change your body, change your mind, strength and balance for the body and mind, go to Rope Walk Lane. Look no further than Power, Ryan Power at Power Conditioning. Strength and balance for the body and mind. True hockey Take what's yours. And, of course, Pitbull Pain Relief, the pain sticks that just don't quit. Go to pitbullpainrelief.com, see what all the fuss is about. Of course, Wedgwood Cafe, Elizabeth Avenue in the East End. Wedgwood Cafe. Peter Wedgwood, great guy. They also do catering. Thanks to Terry Ryan Sr. Thanks to everybody that voted me into the Hockey Hall of Fame. I'll meet you guys tomorrow in beautiful Gander, Newfoundland. Thanks for listening, folks. I'll be back just a couple of days with more Tales with TR. Catch you on the rebound.